Today, I wanted to speak to you about the truth about belly fat after 40 and how to finally lose it. So, we're going to approach this a little bit differently, but if you're in your 40s and or beyond and noticing that stubborn belly fat, you're not imagining things. I have so many patients come to me and say, I'm eating the same thing, I'm doing the same thing, nothing's changed, but I have this midriff, right? This belly fat that will not go away. Now, the biological changes that come with age combined with lifestyle habits make the losing fat in the abdominal area even more challenging. But there's absolutely good news that fat loss is achievable with a strategic science-backed approach. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, hi, by the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Lori Marbus. I'm a board certified family and lifestyle medicine physician who has spent the last 20 years trying to help people gain better health through learning the strategies and the science that promote health. So let's dive right in and continue on. Because really, the important thing to understand here is that the secret lies in shifting your mindset from quick fixes to sustainable, healing focused habits. Okay. It's about understanding your body's changes and working with your biology and then starting small to build the momentum toward long-term success. I always like to say, if you build the right habits, you can absolutely build your health. And that is what we're going to talk about today. But why, first of all, is belly fat after 40 different? Why is all this suddenly happening? Why were we able to get away with things in our 20s that we can't in our 40s and 50s and beyond? Well, there's a few key changes that make losing the belly fat after 40 more difficult. We're talking about 5 of them. First, there's a metabolic slowdown, right? As we age, our metabolism naturally slows about 1 to 2% per decade, meaning the body burns fewer calories at rest. 2 is muscle mass. So after age 30, did you know that adults lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade? That is referred to as sarcopenia. Now, muscle tissue burns more calories than fat, so losing it slows down your metabolic rate further, meaning you burn less calories at rest than you did before. Number 3 is sedentary lifestyles. Now, sitting for long periods lowers your energy expenditure, reduces circulation, and contributes to fat gain, especially in the abdomen. 4 is hormonal shifts, declines in estrogen in women and testosterone in both genders, combined with higher levels of cortisol from stress, encourages fat storage around the midsection. Number 5 is chronic inflammation. So low-grade inflammation, often linked to diet and stress, disrupts metabolism and promotes fat storage. Now, those factors can really just kind of create a perfect storm, right? It's a system primed to hold on to fat, but with targeted root causes, by targeting the root causes, loss of muscle, your poor recovery, hormonal changes in inactivity, you can absolutely reverse the trend. But we're going to approach it a little bit differently. First of all, we're going to talk about a healing mindset. And why is that key? Now, many weight loss approaches rely on extremes, right? You'll hear of restrictive diets, intense workouts, or unsustainable calorie deficits. Now, these strategies often fail because they treat symptoms, the fat gain, instead of the causes, which is the muscle loss, hormonal imbalances, and inflammation. Now, a healing mindset shifts the focus to restoring balance in your body. Instead of punishing your body until losing weight, you work with it, right, to improve muscle health, manage stress, and enhance recovery. Does that make sense? Now, healing creates the conditions in your body needs to function optimally, and then the fat loss becomes a byproduct of those changes. Doesn't that seem like a better approach than starving yourself or punishing yourself? It does to me anyway. So why start small? Now, starting with the small, manageable actions is absolutely essential for building momentum. Behavioral science shows that small wins reinforce new habits, making them easier to sustain. Consistency, not perfection, is a key to creating long-term change. I want to share a patient story with you real quick. I had a patient who we were trying to encourage her to do more exercise. And at first she's like, I can't, I don't have time. There's no way I can do this. I was like, well, what is the one thing that you do every single day that if you were stuck in the middle of the desert that you were like, I have to have this? She said, I have to have my coffee in the morning. I'm like, okay, so be it. I'm like, what are you doing when the coffee is brewing? She's like, well, I'm waiting for it to brew. I'm standing there. I was like, well, what if you did this instead? Just 2 push-ups on the counter. And she's like, just 2 push-ups on the counter. I was like, can you do that? She goes, yeah, but why? She's like, trust me, just do it every day and see what happens. And it was interesting a few months later, we were talking about other things with her follow-up appointments, but a few months later, she goes, Dr. Marvis, you haven't asked me about my push-ups. I was like, oh, tell me about your push-ups. She goes, I'm doing 60 of those a day. Now, mind you, this is a woman in her mid to late 60s. So she started with 2 push-ups a day, and now a few months later, she was doing 60 push-ups per day. I dare you to go to your counter and go do 60 push-ups right now. But over the course of a few months, she was able to add small incremental changes because she's like, oh, wow, this is easy. I can do one more, right? Maybe the next day she adds one more. A few days later, she adds 2 more. There's no necessarily method to adding, but as you build confidence and feel strong, that is the natural outcome of starting small and being consistent. So that is the amazing thing there. And the cool thing was her confidence and excitement when she's like, hey, Dr. Marbus, look at my guns. And I'm like, you go, girl. So those are the type of things that we're talking about here. We didn't go from, you have to, do this workout 3 times a week and you have to do, cut this many calories and you have to do that. Now, granted, you can certainly approach that way, and some people might be able to do that if they're in the right mindset to go ahead and engage in all those things at once. But most humans, we're already dealing with enough in this modern lifestyle of stress and all sorts of crazy stuff that we need to understand that we start small. Over time, we're going to build sustainable habits that we won't burn out and we won't exhaust ourselves. So that's what I described a healing mindset, one that speaks about restoring and working with your body in the current state. And every single time that we do one more thing, we're adding to our health bank account, right? So that's the really important thing to understand here. If you walk away with nothing else from this video, that's what I'd love for you to understand and take away. But what are the daily actions that you need to do to heal your body? Well, we're going to break it down into 4 critical areas with actionable habits to support fat loss after 40. Number 1, excuse me, is build muscle with targeted exercises. Okay, what is the healing habit here? We're going to incorporate strength-based calisthenics 2 to 3 times per week to rebuild and maintain muscle. Now, what's your micro habit? Because we're going to take the healing habit, which is, the restorative component of this is building muscle, but we're going to break it down into something small, like the 1 to 2 push-ups on the counter. The micro habit here is maybe start with 1 push-up, 1 squat, and 1 glute bridge per day. That's it. Each week you can add 1 more rep to each exercise if you want, if you need some type of cadence, but you may find that you add a little faster or even slower, and that's okay too. Now, if the 1 push-up and 1 squat and 1 glute bridge is too much, you decide what you'd like to do. But doing something will get you to move in the right direction. Now, the other thing is, why does this work? Now, strength training counters muscle loss. It increases your resting metabolic rate and it helps your body burn more calories at rest. But you're like, how could just 1 rep do that? I'm not saying that you're going to have significant muscle mass building with just doing 1 rep. What I'm saying is you're working towards the point that your body will start to build momentum. And it does actually move in that direction even with 1 rep. So I can take my patient again, for example, who she ended up doing 60 push-ups on the counter. Her body absolutely was responding to that stress. Now, did she get there in 1 day? No. But what she was able to do was do that every day. So that's sustainability. So she went from maybe doing, let's say she tried to do 60, counter push-ups the first day, and she was exhausted the next day and so sore. She's like, when I won't do that again. So maybe she didn't try again for 2 to 3, 4 weeks, or maybe worse, she never tries again. Versus taking the mindset of starting with 2 per day and then building up over time because she felt confident and strong to now she's doing 60 every day without even thinking about it. And that reinforces that feeling of how amazing she feels, how confident she feels. And you absolutely know she has to be stronger because her to be able to do 60 every day and maybe not even be able to do 60 the first day or continuous after that is huge. So that is really, this is where I want you to think about. Don't, poo poo the small actionable steps. This consistent, it actually will work. I will tell you, it works very well. Number two is boost activity with a HIIT style break. So the healing habit here is to break up sedentary periods with short bursts of a movement, mimicking high intensity interval training. Now, what's the micro habit? So every hour, maybe you could perform 20 seconds of fast body weight squats. So just up and down. And if you can't go, on your own, maybe just sit up and down out of your chair. That would be fine too. And then 10 seconds of rest, and then repeat that for 2 to 3 rounds. Others like to maybe go up some stairs and then back down, up the stairs and back down. Whatever you can do on the hour or every few hours to really just get the heart rate up and going. So why does this work? Well, short, intensive bursts of activity improve your insulin sensitivity. They increase your calorie burn and prevent the metabolic stagnation caused by sitting for too long. Now, we've all heard that sitting for longer periods is kind of like the new smoking. So this is absolutely one way to put that cigarette out. All right, number 3. I think that was funny, you guys. I'm trying to be funny. I know if you chuckled at me, thank you. I felt that. Number 3 is optimize nutrition with low glycemic, protein-rich foods. Now, the healing habit here is to focus on whole, minimally processed, low glycemic plant foods. Now, that will stabilize blood sugar and provide protein for your muscle repair. Now, what's the micro habit? Well, replace one processed snack daily with a whole food plant-based alternative, such as lentil soup, edamame, or a tofu veggie bowl. Why does this work? Low glycemic foods, right, prevent the insulin spikes that promote fat storage, while plant-based alternatives or plant-based proteins like lentils, tofu, and tempeh support your muscle maintenance. Number 4 is prioritize recovery and stress management. Now, the healing habit here is to aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep nightly, and then practice relaxation techniques to lower cortisol. Now, understand that we spend a third of our lives asleep, or at least we should. So it's probably pretty important, right? So if you think about what's happening when you're sleeping, if you have an office building and all day there's, it's a beehive of commotion and people are working, and then they leave the office, maybe there's, trash everywhere and things left astray. Well, at night, the janitorial crew comes in and cleans up. Think of that exactly what happens in your mind, in your body, in your brain. So the brain is a very metabolically active organ. It uses about 20% of our glucose every single day. So there's going to be a lot of metabolic waste. So what happens at night is that janitorial crew comes in and cleans up. And we need deep restorative sleep. So if you ever struggle with, waking up in the middle of the night, or you're not waking up feeling refreshed, you might want to speak to a doctor about that. You might need a sleep study, or something else might be going on. But that's really, really important, is 7 to 8 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on the person. And that helps you restore from any activities that you've done before. Then in addition to that, you really want to practice your relaxation to lower the cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Now, what's the micro habit? So before bed, take 5 slow, deep breaths and mentally prepare for a restorative night of sleep. So why does this work? Sleep and stress management regulate your hormones like cortisol, ghrelin, and leptin, which control hunger, fat storage, and cravings. Really, really important. So let's finish this up here by talking about the power of the tiny habits to build the momentum. Now, start small, and celebrating progress builds the momentum needed for that lasting change. And here's how. We're going to talk about the 4 things. 1, start with one habit. Right? So just, begin with one micro habit, like replacing a snack with a low glycemic option, or doing your, 1-1-1 exercise routine daily. The 1 push-up, the 1 squat, and the 1 glute bridge. Then 2, anchor habits to routines, like the, starting your coffee machine. Pair your habit with an existing activity. For example, do squats while brushing your teeth, or replace your afternoon snack with edamame. Number 3 is celebrate small wins. Every small step. Yes, like adding the 1 extra push-up or choosing lentils over chips is absolutely a success. So acknowledge those wins will keep the motivation high, and guess what you're doing? You're also releasing dopamine, and the brain likes dopamine. The brain's like, let's do more of that. That's what I'm talking about. Number 4 is be flexible, not perfect, right? If you miss a day or struggle with consistency, just refocus and adjust. Long-term success comes from progress and not perfection. Okay, perfection, striving for perfection will absolutely lead you to failure and burnout. So don't even make that your goal. Make your goal just the progress. So, why does this work? Let's talk about the science of healing and fat loss. So, by focusing on muscle maintenance, activity, nutrition, and recovery, you're addressing the core reasons your body holds on to fat after 40. So, calisthenics will rebuild muscle, boosting your metabolism and reversing the effects of sarcopenia. 2, the hit like burst of movement improve your metabolic health and counteract the negative effects of sitting. 3, low glycemic whole food plant-based meals stabilize blood sugar and reduce fat-promoting inflammation. And then rest and stress management regulate hormones that control hunger, fat storage, and energy balance. Now, that approach works because it aligns with how your body works, how your body functions. It creates sustainable change from the inside out. So, remember, the key takeaway to losing belly fat is working with your body and not against it. So instead of chasing the quick fixes, focus on building strength, managing stress, nourishing your body with those whole plant foods. Start small, build momentum, and watch how those small actions compound into a healthier, stronger you, because it will absolutely work. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how to repair your metabolism, check out my free masterclass called The 6 Steps to Master Metabolism and Lose Weight, where you learn the 5 top mistakes people make in their weight loss journey, my 6-step framework to kind of build around, we talk about habits and all sorts of stuff, how to actually build a metabolism that will absolutely naturally lose weight. And the one thing that most people overlook when they're starting their plant-based, their weight loss journey, that absolutely can make or break your journey. It has nothing to do with food, has nothing to do with exercise either, for that matter. So check it out. The link's below. And as always, thank you for being here with me. I'm sending gratitude, joy, and love your way, and healing, of course, because we all need more of that in this world. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for being here.